canning.
Does anyone in the room know what the conditions were like when your clothing was made? Do you know if the workers were treated with dignity, paid fairly, and if children were used for labor? 80% of garment workers are young women between the ages of 18 and 24. They are overworked, underpaid, and abused. As stated in the article, your feminist shirt means nothing if it was made in a sweatshop. How many of you know a child between the ages of 5 and 14? In sweatshops, children are used for child labor. Child labor threatens physical, mental, and emotional well-being. They are not able to go to school and get an education. As stated, instead, they are working long hours with dangerous tools. Without education of school, they are unable to break the poverty cycle. I am interested in this topic because now that I'm older, I'm starting to buy more of my own clothes. Some of my friends care about how and where their clothes are made. This has sparked an awareness in me and where I get my clothes from. In this speech, I would like to address what a sweatshop is, why we need to get rid of them, and a solution to help combat them. The key ideas of this speech is to inform all of you how harmful sweatshops are. Persuade. What is a sweatshop? A sweatshop is a factory where clothes are made. The workers are underpaid with no benefits, and the conditions are not up to code. Recently, fashion has been in high demand, and companies like Gap feel the pressure to keep up with the supply and demand. According to the article, Economic Impact of Consumer Purchases in Fast Fashion states, fast fashion has changed the way consumers dress and think about fashion. Clothes have become cheaper, and shopping has become more of a form of entertainment. Therefore, the production of clothes is sent to other countries where labor laws aren't as strict and you can get away with things and mass produce things a lot faster. Now that we have a bit of an understanding of what sweatshop is, why should we stop them? As I stated earlier, sweatshops are factories that are not following good labor laws. They are unethical. And I don't have a problem with clothing factories. It's clothing sweatshop factories that are the problem. Some might argue that sweatshops are good, and some might argue that they're bad. In the article, Sweatshops Make Poor People Better Off, it states, sweatshops are awful places to work, but often less awful than the other jobs that people who work in sweatshops could have. Some benefits that the article says are women aren't married off as young, and that they have a job and they're making money. However, sweatshops also employ young children, and instead of being able to go to school and get an education, they're instead forced to work. And there's also no one advocating for these children to grow up and have a normal life. Like in America, we wouldn't be sending our children off to work in factories. That's just not allowed, and you get sent to jail. But there, they need money, and there's no one dictating, there's no strict laws that they're enforcing to make sure that doesn't happen. Another thing that happens with sweatshops are the destruction. In April of 2014, a large factory in Bangladesh caught fire. The New York article, Building Collapse in Bangladesh Leaves Scores Dead, says, Briggs Khan, head of the National Fire Service, said that the initial investigation found that the Rana Plaza building violated codes, with the 4 upper floors having been constructed illegally without permits. Now, I don't know about you, but that was a really big story, almost 6 years ago. But in that article, he just said 4 stories were constructed without the right permits, which means, there's no one regulating the regulations over there with sweatshops. People are just running loose and doing whatever they want. And so, about 100, it said in the article, 100 were dead and thousands were injured. And that could have easily been if we, cared about how our clothes are being made, and had stricter laws when it came to factory production. Now that we have discussed, what a sweatshop is and some of the problems, here are some solutions to fix them. First off, you have to know it's not going to be an overnight fix. We have to work together with the companies like Gap to, make sure that our workers are getting paid fair wages in other countries, and how much they make is actually what they should be making versus what they are making. We should ask how our clothes are being made and by whom they're being made. Demand transparency through companies and demand that they have stricter laws when dealing with other companies overseas. If they don't, we should call them out and protest and change how they're dealing with it. The Gap Inc. is committed. Gap Inc. policies on the website states that Gap Inc. is committed to respecting internationally recognized human rights and advocating involvement in human rights and peace. It's one thing to say that they're going to work towards that, but it's another thing to actually do it. We need to hold them accountable. In conclusion, before I end this speech, I'd like to leave you with these takeaways. We need to stand together and be voices for the voiceless. What happened in India shouldn't happen ever again. And companies like Gap need to see that we care about where our clothes are coming from and how they're being made and who they're being made by.